welcome to Academy of Tone 145. As we can see, today is Strataday. Stratocaster, of course, that's a home run for me, and that's why I used my beloved 1961 Stratocaster in the intro song, which is actually exactly the same like last episode's 1957 Les Paul. So you can actually edit, A/B it, and you see what's the difference between a Les Paul and a Stratocaster. I'm using, of course, the same amp as usual, amp 1, and today I was switching from the vintage channel mainly and then up to the classic and modern to show you that a Strat is more versatile than just Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits or some country licks. And that's actually my personal story when it comes to Stratocasters. I always wanted that twang tone, but I wanted to get basically all my sounds done with a Strat. Since I never had a good Les Paul when I was younger, so the Strat became my main instrument, and I used all kinds of tricks, pedals and amps and channels and whatnot to be able to get all the sounds that I wanted from a Stratocaster. In today's episode, we have plenty of Strats in the background, as we can see. Most of them are mine, but we have a special guest, which is Heiko Bellon from 6 and 4, our local music store. He even brought us some Paul Reed Smith Silver Skies, a very hot guitar. John Mayer signature model, quite impressive. So we also have some modern guitars to compare it to, not only my good old vintage guitars and the guitars that I have a bunch of guitars. We will do some listening tests afterwards. But before we kind of dig in deeper into the Strat theme, let me bring up a few things first. One thing, on the weekend I was in the Netherlands, which is a neighbor country of Germany. But to drive there, you go from Germany through Luxembourg, through Belgium, and then you end up in the Netherlands, at least from the place where I live, which is Saarbrücken. And the first thing you have to notice is Germany, we have no speed limit on the Autobahn, which is, I could actually drive very fast on a Saturday because there was not much traffic. But then right after the border, you slow down to 120 and you put on the speed control and it's 120 only and you get bored. I nearly fell asleep. I did a lot of things. I called my sister and whatnot. What a different driving that is. Anyway, so finally I ended up in the Netherlands and I was doing a clinic in a music store, a store called Strings and Things. And it was a nice one because we did actually have people coming there and a very nice audience, very knowledgeable, interested. And the funny thing is I came there and the guitar expert guy that from the guitar department told me, he played the amp 1 even 4 years ago and he plays in a band with Bastian Ragers. And I go, hey, I played with Bastian Ragers too in 2000. So this was the singer of Caught in the Act. That brought back good memories. So he sends him my regards. Everything is cool. We're all connected. We had a nice clinic. Here is a little clip of the music I played there. And I was actually having a prototype of the Amp X with me to show the world that our monster is not finished, but it is alive. Enjoy. this was my Saturday evening clinic, and then the next day I was driving to meet somebody nice, Eric de Jong. In the Netherlands, everybody is Van der Haar, and well, Haar guitars, of course, all over the place, because Haar is a Dutch guitar maker. But hey, the next day I had I would call it a secret nerd meeting. This was not an open meeting. It was kind of nerds, tone nerds, that were teaming up in a live venue, like a bar where there was a drum kit and a bass amp that didn't work. So I had to use the Amp-1 Iridium as a bass amp, which is also doing that job in case there is nothing better. So I'm not saying buy an Amp-1 for bass. It's just if there's nothing there, Amp-1 can even do that job, but it's not a recommendation. So at this meeting, these were the tone nerds. Some great guitars there, some guys talking about playing things and gear and pedals, and you know how nerds are. And so I was invited to show my Amp-1, and I actually did some A/B comparisons with the switcher. And of course, after that section, nobody asked about what is Amp-1, is this tube amp or what it is. It was out of the equation. So this was very nice to talk to knowledgeable people, people that really know what's going on. So what happened in the middle of me explaining with some guys, Les Paul, there came just two guys entered the stage on the drums, and there was a jam in the middle of my explanation. So, you know, it just happened. And then at another point, some guy said, "Yeah, can I try it out and see what happened?" I just handed him my guitar, and he played it, and the other guys kind of joined in. Enjoy this clip. So that was me trying to fix something for the bass. I don't know if you noticed that there was a bass player, and he was, I think I plugged into an Iridium or anything. Just, I knew the Amp-1 works, and two cables, you know, where's the bass? And, you know, crank up and go. You know, this is live. And I think the name of the guitar player, by the way, who is killer, respect, is Fred Deichmann. Deichmann, the Germans know the shoes. And he told me later on the parking spot lot outside that he is actually connected to the family, to the German Deichmanns. So he is not the rich guy, but the Germans are the rich guys, because they sell a shitload of shoes for the Germans. Okay. And that Sunday, I also did a interview with a Dutch guitar dude, Eric de Jong. But that interview we will not send today because that's too much for today's episode. I saved that for later. And he explains his pedal boards and stuff, so that will come. Okay, back to the Strat thing. There's one thing more, which is a great one. Have you ever thought about Stratocasters, if they would survive if you are on a cruise and the boat starts to sink? Titanic, or there's all these cruises these days, blues cruise, rock cruise, metal cruise. What happens to the guitars when you sink? That's something that I tried out when I was on my vacation. This is my last video and then we go into Strats. Okay, here's the everlasting question. Will it sink or will it swim? I play Strat all my life. Imagine I would do a cruise and the Titanic would sink. Will it swim or will it sink? Let's find out. It swims. And still in tune. Okay, so finally we solved that magic question. So the good news is the Titanic will sink and the good old Strats, no matter what year, they will all swim. And you just can get them like fish. Good. So get your boats out when Bonamassa sinks. There might be some precious guitar swimming on the surface of the sea. Okay, when we talk about Stratocasters, we know there's Strats from the cheapest one. I mean, the one that I had on vacation, okay, this was the one without the pickups because it was a tryout and one of those experimental guitars, nothing super special. It's there. I can put it together. It plays and it still stays in tune, and so a Strat is nearly indestructible. That's something, when the Gibson headstock hits the floor 50%, you have to repair it. With Strats, you can do almost anything with it. Okay, don't drive backwards with your car. I have seen cases like that. That's not so pleasant. But besides that, anything can be fixed on the Strat. I mean, even, the strap holders, you get them out, you get some wood toothpicks, put them in there, put a screw back in, and you're good to go. If there is anything on a Strat, there is a fix. Okay, if the tremolo arm is broken, you've seen me doing that, then there's no tremolo for the rest of the show, but who cares? It's still a guitar, it works. But by the way a Strat is designed, it's very rugged piece of gear. But about tone, okay, you know me, guys, I ended up with this guitar, but there is a prehistory of that. So my very, very first guitar was a Strat by Aria, I think Pro 2 or whatever series that was in the 80s. And then I bought a Les Paul Pro 2, and then I had the both, and then I thought I'm more a Strat player. And then I bought a 1980s red Strat. I have a picture of that here. That's me, age probably 16, because I played that Strat before I had the 61 that I have in my hands right now. And that 80s Strat big headstock 3-point connection was about the worst Strat that I ever played. Looking back, nearly, whatever, 40 some years of Strat playing. And it came to a point that I could notice that. I heard records and I heard there is more twang, there is more character, there is more punch. And my influences back in the days were Blackmore and the Gary Moore album where he played his 61 Red Stratocaster. And there was a guy in our area, his name is Michael Frank Braun. And Michael used to be the repair guy and built his own guitars, and he had a lot of... And then he was moving away from Saarbrücken to Hamburg, and he was somebody that I talked to, and he said, if you are not happy with this Fender Strat, you probably have to get an old one. And the first step, what I've done is I bought myself the copies that were available back in the 80s of the vintage guitars, which is the Japan Vintage Series by Squier, or it was Fender Squier. I found a few old pictures with me. This one here, maybe we can see. That's me in the studio in the top one, 40 some years. I'm old. And I had to sell all these JV series Stratocasters in favor to have the money to pay the 61. And by the way, look at this. These pictures you have to see too, because that's me as a keyboard player. That's actually me. This goes back to the Duran days where, you were the hip guy when you had keyboards and the sunglasses, of course. And we had another guy playing the guitar, Peter Potenz. Great guy though. He made it to America later on. As you can see the guy here. Anyway, so yeah, different days. And then I bought this, that's an older one. I mean, here you can see me with my 61, me being clean. And wait a minute, where's the camera? Here. So, and my Strat was clean too. All the clay dots were still in there. No? And these were the days where I was already professional musician in a way. Or in this, here just to show you how many years. This is starting to get dirty, see, over the years. And this is, what is this? Yeah, more pictures, blah, blah, blah. And here I have found another Frankenstein caster that I took to, I think this was in Jamaica. So I always like to have my vacations somewhere in the sun with a Strat, of course, on the beach and palm trees. And yeah, so that's a very old pattern. And here, hey, look at this. This is me in my whatever mid-20s with my 61 in front and with a 64 in the back. It is not that one here, but I used to have different second Strats over the year. Or here, Hollywood on top of a whatever car. So back to the topic. With Strats, we know there are maple neck Strats and there are rosewood Strats. And then what makes them different? For me, I was more the rosewood guy because I was into a bit more overdrive and I wanted that less mid-rangey but more bite from that kind of guitar. This is always how I would describe the difference. maybe I make some clean tones here. So I compare this to a guitar which is not a Fender. It's made by Jörg Tandler, a German guitar luthier that made me this guitar. I put it in simple words. The more clean I play and the more I stop before I go into high gain overdrive, the more quality I get from a maple fingerboard Strat, in my opinion. Why? Because I think the maple neck has a rounder mid-range. That's the way how I would describe it. And it's a 50s style Stratocaster being built with original headstock shape today would be forbidden, but this was, I think, in the 90s. So this is already vintage. And I play this mainly in the studio. You probably never seen me with this live. It is called I called the color, he was a big fan of cats, so I called this the cat burst, Katzenburst. Okay, and it is the feel of a 50s Stratocaster. And by the way, Klopman pickups, which do a good job. Okay, I play a different guitar just for fun. What about this? This used to be my second guitar for ages. It is a parts caster put together by myself using original Fender parts. So there's an original 1960s neck, original pickguard, original block. I did have an original Fender body, but that sounded not good with that neck. And that's something that I found somewhere and then made a better match with the neck, and that became my number 2. So also a very, very good guitar. And this one is not having the Fender pickups. This is Klopman, my first set, BluGuitar 1. So this is my famous O. So when the Strat does the O, I'm happy. When the bridge pickup does that's something that hurts my ears. My taste, but I always was looking for O. And yeah, that's my personal criteria when it comes to Strats. So having this guitar, I go for this beautiful, all original 1964 Stratocaster, which is the only guitar that I own that is really a collector. But sounds good too. Let me go back to the parts caster. Okay. The original three-way switch, and it's a job to switch. I even do have the original frets there. I changed the frets because I wanted to play it. There used to be the original frets worn out, and hey, that's no fun, because if I own a guitar, I still want to play it. Okay, let's go back for this one. Huh? There's some punch. And there's a difference. And we are talking rosewood. Well, this is the so-called slab board, and the other one is the veneer board from the, this is 64, late second half of 64, June, July or something. I have to look again at the heads at the end of the neck one day, but doesn't matter. This guitar is, the 64 is clean, but it's not my favorite player. And again, that probably makes that guitar worse because it's not played enough. And I would rather play this guitar than this original 64, because it's like a horse that already is, hey, let's go. I'm ready for you guys. Yeah, that's this guitar. We can compare it to my original 61, just so you know. The strings are super old on that one, sorry. So, I like them both, but I grew up with this guitar. That's my guitar, that's my sound. There's probably some 61s out there that sound even better, and I played a few. But for me, it became my guitar, and I didn't even question it again. And over all the years, what else is here? There's another parts caster. This parts caster. Using a BluGuitar neck that somebody aged to 1920, which is pre-Fender. And I think it's some leftover pickups from Klopman and the vintage body. This is vintage. Yeah, one of those. One of those bodies, as we can see. And this guitar actually the bridge is a little bit too shrill for my taste, but the neck is fantastic. Yeah. Another example of a parts caster. So what's the message here? For me, parts casters can really be cool. I know a lot of musician friends, and well, of course, Eric Clapton is not my musician friend. I wish. No, but his Blackie guitar was a parts caster. So part casters have a long history of making good Stratocasters, and that's the good thing about Stratocasters. Everything is kind of bolt on. Remove the screws, put it here, experiment, and you will find out a happier or worse combination. Don't do things that you would regret, like routing humbuckers in your Stratocaster. Only do that if you're totally safe, or use a humbucker in single coil format. So that's something I would recommend. But it's not about the good thing on Strats. You can reverse build almost any parts caster, and sometimes, like my number 2, it takes years to find the right things, because I had that neck and I knew the neck is good, but I had an original Fender body and I thought it must be Fender, but that particular body didn't match that guitar. It was hollow mid-range and no tone. So guys, I look at the comments for a while to see what's going on. The wood is pretty on that guitar, yeah. I do have a master build Strat with me today, yes. Because I have to show you this guitar, and there's a nice story behind this guitar as well. So this is a brand new guitar, which is a copy of my 61, and this is a... Okay, as soon as I play my own guitars, I automatically like the overdrive for some reasons. But hey, this was the thing. This particular guitar has a special signature. I have to show you what it is. There's a German comedian called Otto Walkes for the Germans, and I have another job which I really enjoy, is checking out the vintage guitars for Number One in Hamburg. Number One is that vintage dealer we heard, and they have a channel called The World of Vintage Guitars, and I play all their guitars. And one day I had so many 64 Stratocasters, and I found one guitar and it said, wow, this is the best 64 that you have in the house, which is actually better than mine. And I asked, hey, who does it belong to? Because they have guitars that are not for sales. They have some celebrities that bring the guitars to the store and keep it there because it's safer, humidity, perfect conditions, climate, temperature, you know, the whole 9 yards. And then Mr. Weilbier, Thomas Weilbier from Number One, the owner, says, yeah, this is Otto's guitar. And then I said, okay, I would like to make an episode on the Otto guitar. Shall we call him? Maybe he wants to join in. See what happens. We give you a little clip of this.
laut, ja?
Can you do the Ottifant for me and my niece here?
Yes.
Just on the back.
What for Thomas? For
Yeah,
Thomas?
Thomas.
And?
Yeah,
And his niece.
Leonie. Leonie.
Okay, here's the Ottifant.
Ottifant. This is...
But now it's...
And here, this is the signature with the world famous Ottifant. Okay. So Otto had played that guitar as well. Anyway, that's a modern guitar, and I wish I had more of those. Like, I could actually sell a few, but to me that guitar is so good I cannot sell it. First, it's signed by Otto, and second, I'm happy that I'm not sure if this is actually better or equally good as my other number 2, which is the original Fender parts caster. What I'm trying to say is, in guitars, in Strats, I found lately, over decades, that it is possible to have, to create guitars that have the quality. They are not exactly like the real deal vintage guitars. There is something magic mojo left, but I think I have seen more modern Strats that are equally as playable and as enjoyable like the vintage instruments. It used to be a different thing. Remember back when I started in the 80s, these guitars were simply horrible. There was no vintage quality anymore because over the decades Fender lost all the twang in the sound. They replaced it with thick lacquer. They changed a lot of things, and they lost what a Strat magic is. Finally, now with the custom shop and the whole 9 yards and a lot of competition, we can see modern made guitars that are decent, great guitars. And the question, can I live without having a real deal 61, 64 Stratocaster, all original or whatever, is not that important anymore. Aha, I see a comment here. Have you ever met Matthias Wasser? He's a German guitarist who plays a 64 Stratocaster. I think I've never met him, is this the guy who also plays M1 and has killer tones? There is one out there. His name is Matthias, and he did a few nice videos. Maybe that's him. But I know another guy who has a 62 Stratocaster. Oh no, it's a 63. It's my colleague and friend Ben Grenfeld, and we made a nice picture of the 61 meets the 60, I think 63, which was taken in the backstage of Jovels Münster, which is run by Steffi Stephan, who is the bass player of Udo Lindenberg for the Germans. Another historic place. And look how nice the both chairs met our colors. So yeah, 2 Strats, 2 chairs, 2 guitars. Album is in production, but will take forever because nobody has time. Look at me. Yeah. Hello from Portugal. How cool. This chairs match the colors. Yeah, tones. I totally agree. Here, Vintage Sounds makes the comment, all Strats are interchangeable with better parts. Correct. And we have seen a whole market of options of better parts or different parts. You know, what is better, you have to decide. It is hard to tell this is the only best because it's personal in the end. And I think we live in the days where there are many people, including the brands themselves, now being interested in getting the best instruments possible. So you can get replacement pickups, you can get replacement hardware, you can get, even whatever, scratch plates and age stuff, and anything is today available. And some come from Japan and they make it in their backyard with the whatever weirdest things or mojo parts from somewhere on this planet. Some guy makes a good fake. So don't these days, there are so great components, you can even start to make good fakes yourself. But the expert like myself, I can smell it. Oh, that's not an old one, but looks pretty cool. Anyway, if you know old guitars, you will find little details that tell you stuff like that. I give you one little hint that you all don't know. This is an original 64 Stratocaster. If you look at the scratch plate here, and if you look at the dimension of the horn, the scratch plate is not centered. It's towards the top. And most fakes are not. Just look there and you can tell right away, if this is in the middle, it's a fake. One thing. And another thing is, if you look on the heel of the back of the neck to the back of the headstock, the highest point is not in the middle. It's towards the low strings. A touch. If you know that, you look at it, okay, this is original and the next one is a fake. And by the way, most of the custom shops Strats don't do it right. So this is, even if you have a custom shop Strat and somebody kind of tweaks it more to be a fake, I've seen anything, any mixture. I mean, even back in the days when I bought my parts, here this thing that I bought on my vacation, I don't know, it was sold to me as a, don't ask me, 58, wait a minute, can we, too much reflection. Somebody, I bought it in the UK and somebody told me it's a 58, I knew it was a full fake even back then. But I was fascinated about the neck pickup. And the neck pickup was a real 57. It was not a 58, but it was a real 57. And I think there was 3 or so. So anyway, in the end, the amount of money that I paid for the fake was, I knew they would rip me off on the one hand, but on the other hand, I knew that something must be really good on this guitar. And in the end, I made a better deal. So yeah, both sides ripping off. So vintage, I'm not the expert. I just know how they play, how they feel, how they sound. I'm all about tone, and I'm all about partcasters when it comes to tone. But all this fake thing, I leave for other experts. It's like, don't even quote me on dating things. I know probably more than you guys and most of the guys because I have seen so many, but there are people out there, they know exactly this screw in the scratch plate that comes from a whatever Jaguar, and look at this pole piece. There's a little touch here. That's not 64. The machine was more worn out in 60, whatever. This is a 60, blah, blah, blah. And there are black bottoms and gray bottom pickups on Stratocaster. We can talk about that. The black bottom pickups, which is, I think, 59 to 64. They are my bang, bang, twang favorites. And then afterwards, in 64, they got a bit more woodier, milder. And that is something that I even found out back in the days with my 61 Strat. And I prefer that woodier tone for the middle position. So as the player, I wanted to have the middle position not as bright. Let me show you. This is the bridge position, the neck, and this is the middle. There's a lot more warmth to it. Even the neck has more aggression. That's the middle pickup. And I wanted that for the rhythm guitar quality because it would be a bit too shrill but I modded that guitar to my taste. So and it's reverse wound, which actually is another thing you shouldn't do with an original Strat, because the old Strats have 3 pickups in the same direction, but then there's the hum, and that's the thing they changed on the new guitars: reverse wound, reverse polarity pickups. So the position 2 and 4, which actually didn't exist in the vintage Strats, become noiseless. Being a player, that noiseless position helps once in a while. And it sounds cool too. And then I added my dummy coil. I talked about the dummy coil 1,000 times, just on the bridge and the neck position. And yes, it does change the tone. But I sometimes even like it because, remember, they were a bit too bright compared to middle pickup. Now I have the dummy coil on the bridge and the neck and nothing on the middle pickup. So now my guitar is more in balance. And this is the way I play it most of the time. Personally, I play more gain, like the vintage channel. And then reduce the volume. And that's my tone. Okay. But hey, every Strat player has its unique voice on the guitar, his unique concept. And that's the great thing about a Stratocaster. So many options. Questions? late K line Springfield with the Lola. Lola pickups are very hip too today's. Okay, hello from Portugal. The chair matches the colors. Okay, this was from the other picture. Okay, I sometimes have the impression that it's still difficult to acquire an official Strat sound in Germany. I sometimes have the impression that it is still difficult to acquire an official Strat sound in Germany. What do you mean by the best Strat official? What is the best Strat sound anyway? We have to think about names. So for the old guys, Hank Marvin with his 58 Stratocaster, Hank Marvin from the Shadows was the reference point. He was the heroes of my heroes. And he played clean guitar with tape delays and, of course, all this kind of... this kind of thing, but that's the clean Strat, and that's he had a red one, and this was the ultimate tone. You need to have that tape delay, otherwise there's no magic. But I've done some episodes on that as well. That's one Strat tone. And then we have Jimi Hendrix. What Strat tone is this? Has nothing to do with good old Hank. And if we compare this to Eric Clapton in that period, what was this, 61 Ocean Street, blah, 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 you know. I Shot a Sheriff was on this one. I Shot a... When he played the Music Mans and stuff. So this was a different, but still very cleanish Strat tone. And there's probably that Dire Straits kind of, in between. And okay, you use the fingers, you use the in-between position, another Strat tone. Then we have David Gilmour, okay. Yeah, I need a compressor, but this already compresses a lot. Some sustain, 61 Strat. That's something, if a Strat has sustain, nice thing. Not all the Strats have that. Okay. So another comment here is, did you play Mac Mall guitar? Yes, I have to admit, I think they are pretty good, but they are so expensive. I heard about 6,000. I know how, well, everybody puts his own price tag on guitars, but 6,000, I do my BluGuitar, and I'm not, if I sell one, I'm selling them too cheap anyway. But 6,000 is quite a number. But they're good guitars, yeah. Christian Neumann, I bought a Fender Strat in 1976 at Becker in Hamburg, and it was horrible. The E string was always falling down, and there was a 58 for 2,500 Deutschmarks, yeah. And I didn't have the money to buy it. Well, see, I had a 59 Les Paul for 10,000 Deutsche Marks at that time, and I didn't have the money. And I knew the guitar was good. If I had the money, I would have done an even better investment than on this guitar. There are so many good guys out there. There's Mick Mars. Robin Frank says, I'm going to see Albert Lee in March. Of course. What's his hit? The Country Boy, unbelievable player. I met him actually twice. Killer guy. I mean, if it comes to this country playing, and unbelievable. B. Wolfen says, the dummy coil works great on my vintage signature Summer of Love master build, which is, where is it? This one. Reverse headstock. Yeah, it's built in there as well. I wonder if I should swap the Wilkinsons out for some Klopmans or Lola sets. Let's put it that way. The Klopmans are as expensive probably as the whole guitar. So they are better, yes. But if you change the price range, and that's actually a good discussion, because as we found out, anything can be changed on a Strat, just a few screws, a soldering iron, and you're done. But when is the point to step up? If this is your favorite guitar, and you are totally sure this guitar is yours, and if you put in your favorite pickup and the match is in heaven, do it. But it's something you should be sure of if you invest pickups for the price of the same price range than the whole guitar. I have done all the experience, so I know what I'm doing. So sometimes I go there and, money doesn't matter because it is on another level what I want to achieve. And if I don't put all the money onto that, I would make a big mistake. But on the other hand, it can improve the guitar, yes. Basically, the thing is, if an instrument at a certain price point comes to you, the manufacturer already tries to balance out the components in a way that the hardware fits the price range, the pickups fits the price range, blah, blah, blah. And then there is always something to improve, but that depends on the particular instrument. Mainly the wood, they don't have the control because wood is a living material, or was a living material. And so the wood is kind of the big factor. The hardware is pretty much the same. The pickups are very consistent. You should understand that the electronics can change it a bit. So if something is wrong there, you can maybe just change the volume pot on the Strat and it will change the guitar a lot. And that costs not much money, but that's something for guys that understand that. Don't do stuff that you don't understand, unless you know what you're doing. Changing pickups will do something that you can simply find. And don't do something that is not a problem to reverse. Okay, I would like to bring in our special guest for tonight. We have some beautiful PRS guitars, and they come from my good old friend that actually had that red guitar in his hands when I was a teenager. And he is now the best and biggest music store in the area we have. And the store is called 6 and 4. And yeah, let's bring Heiko in. Heiko, here is your stage. And so, hello. Hey, come on. So, yeah, we both go back last century, and I think one of the first things that we had in common was I asked you to change that red Fender Strat.
It was a 3-point
Yeah.
adjustment, and you like to change it to 4-point.
Yeah, because this is an honest story. I was playing that guitar on stage, and while being on stage, the neck was shifting and the guitar got out of tune. And then I had to, it was, trust me, this was the worst Strat I ever saw. And I owned it. So,
I was not happy. You said to me, do it. I don't want to do it. But you said, do it.
yeah.
Build the
Yeah.
whole into it. And we did it.
Yeah. And this was even before you had a music store, right?
Right. We started 6 and 4 in 87. And this was 84 or 85.
Very
In
long.
the basement of the house of my mother. Only
A few meters from here,
meters from here.
Where I live now.
Yeah.
Well, this is the local thing about our area. Everybody knows each other, and it's that. I mean, if you live in the US, you know everything is so big, but in Europe things are way smaller, and that's the big advantage of a small connection, small, everything is kind of, you meet people just by accident, and that helps.
That helps.
That helps. To show you a little bit more about Heiko's music store, I think we have a very short video that shows how his store looks like. I am very impressed because for me, it's true to support the local dealer for many reasons. One is we need dealers to pick up guitars and try them out. And that's, if you will see what he is offering in the store, that's you can explain how difficult it is, or what's going on there anyway. And there's a little history. Maybe we just watch the video, or you want to say anything before that?
No, it's a good idea to.
Yeah, and then we discuss what we have seen.
Okay.
Cool.
Mega Music Store auf über 2000 Quadratmetern. 6 and 4 in Sulzbach.
Yeah, so this was the 6 and 4 music store here in Sulzbach, which is kind of just around the corner.
8 kilometers.
Yeah.
5 kilometers.
And we have seen a few kind of unused spots in the shelves. What happens there?
It's the same problem since Corona. We ordered a lot of guitars, and we have to wait.
Yeah. So the manufacturer cannot deliver as much as you order.
It's quite better, but it's still a problem.
It's still a problem.
Yeah. Or we have, as an example, if you talk about PRS.
Yeah.
If you want a core guitar made in US, it takes 1 year.
1 year.
When you want to order it, 1 year or more.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And I mean, Paul Reed Smith is a international big brand with a real, power of production and distribution and everything behind it. So it's not like me making 3 guitars and done by one guy. And my joke is always, who dies first, the customer or the maker? I want to change that too, but I don't want to have a big operation, and I don't want to compete with Paul Reed Smith because, Paul Reed Smith is kind of a
living legend.
Legend. Yeah.
And he made many things very, very good, very good. He had to, because at that point he is now. So that's the reason why he is not going to the NAMM this year, because when he can't offer the guitars, why does he go to the show? Yes.
Yeah. Let's have one of those guitars. Let's talk. Yeah, okay. So this, let me explain this. So this is a Silver Sky by, of course, Paul Smith, and Silver Sky is that signature model for
John Mayer.
and
Paul Smith takes, and he has very long time. They work together.
yeah,
2 years to create the Silver Sky, and a lot of ideas are inside.
So I'm not so far. I played one, but hey, you are probably more the expert on this guitar. So sounds good.
It has a steel in it, the inside.
Okay,
steel
question.
block.
So there's this is a real steel block.
block, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's very important. I always talk people about the real steel block has more twang, and the weight of the block adds to the O that I like. Anyway, so okay, that's good to hear.
And it has to, the setup is that it's on the
Or surface.
on the
Okay,
top.
I would personally have changed that. That's my style. So this kind of setup makes more contact to the body.
more sustained.
Yeah. Yeah.
The body wood is alder. So
Okay, order. Yeah.
And they have a 7.25
Vintage style
fabric,
radius.
yes.
It is a bit fatter than my skinny 61 necks, but it's like a 63 or maybe.
It's 63 to 64.
Yeah. So this is is a bit more wood in your hands. If you like that, that's great. Pickups is also his own design.
On designs, John Mayer designed.
Yeah,
So
or
Paul
yeah,
Smith
voiced
made.
it. Yeah, but it's Paul Reed Smith made.
Sure.
It's not like a Seymour Duncan.
No. It's Paul Smith made.
Yeah. So
Especially.
and it's noiseless, or is it no standard? Huh?
I think it's standard.
Yeah. Noise and a Strat, which is okay. Keep it up. Just for fun, I play my 61, then you know also the difference between maple and rosewood. Because now I'm back into the oar. And clean, probably. It's not bad, but I prefer a maple guitar for clean, and I prefer a rosewood the more gain I have. Maybe you could spot that difference. It's my personal preference, but yeah. Anyway. So what
There's
else?
Something special with this guitar. So, the reason is Paul Reed Smith bring out a special lacquered guitar in 2020. It was called the Nebula. Had a rosewood neck. And 21 he bring out this guitar. It's called Lunar Eyes.
Yeah.
So this
Well, yeah.
flip-flop,
Dark, yeah.
flip-flop
It
lacquer.
It
It
yeah.
changed the color.
The color by the angle of the light.
And you see it's only 1,000 pieces. And we sold a lot of them. It was ended in the middle of 21. 1 month ago, Paul Reed Smith, they called me and said, we have some of these guitars.
Wait a minute, I see another one here. Is this exactly the same model?
Same model. We have some of these guitars. They are from Japan. They don't sell it because they found little zinc
Marks.
lines, zinc lines or something in this
Yeah.
light. You
Oh yeah.
doesn't see.
But hey,
You see nothing.
I mean, I don't see nearly nothing. It's only, you can only see it if you know it, and it's on the back anyhow.
But
Well, Japanese.
you know, in the yeah, you know, if you look at the net, you found guitars used one
Yeah.
for 300,000 to 5,000
Wow.
euros,
Yeah.
and I said, okay, I buy them,
Okay.
and now I have 8.
Eight?
And 8 of this
Of
model.
of the same?
last one, yes. The last,
Okay, and it's all the same color.
All the same color, yeah.
It's kind. You have 8 of these guitars.
with these little
Yeah,
things
marks.
we don't
yeah,
see,
Yeah. Well,
and that's a special special thing. So
yeah. Yeah. Let me see if we can spot a difference in the 2 guitars. I'm a fan of Paul Reed Smith's production quality. You know, every time I get a Paul Reed Smith in my hands, it's like perfectly set up. It's like somebody even tuned it, and they sound very consistent. I try to find out if these 2 are consistent or not. Let's see. So, wait a minute. Same setting. Different. Because, guys, this is a Strat. And this is my lesson. Again, if you buy a Strat, every Strat is slightly different. Even at Paul Reed Smith. Okay, so if you want one of those, I recommend to visit him, and because you have probably you have the choice of many of those, which is very rare. And I know the dealer, like you hate it because you have the guys in the store, this one or this one or this one. But hey, this is a very rare chance. But I guess same strings because you didn't do anything to it. Yeah, okay. I play some music on the other one, just to see if diese klingt besser. What do you mean? This one? Andy Core, say yes, or this one? I want to know. Diese klingt, what is this? Okay, for the English guys, the comment by Andy Core was diese, which means this sounds better. You mean this one? Maybe. Okay. And Toons says single coils seem to have so much personality and clarity. Yeah. Poo Ninja Helmut guitar, what will fill the 64 space in your collection? Okay, I prefer the one also. Ah, now in Thomas' hands. Okay, good. There is something about that guitar. See, this is production quality. I can do my minor third bends, and it's not like. I don't know how often you do it on Fender guitars, but we have a Fender here. You brought. Hey, let's just for fun. Can you give me this? What is this? A Fender custom shop?
Yes, Fender Custom Shop, Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Clapton model.
I just do the bend.
With
I just do the
circuit.
bend and see if it does it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it has a boost built in. Fucking yeah. Okay, yeah, but it's okay. Okay, this is the boost, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the battery?
It's
Or-
inside.
It's inside. Is it
By the, I think normally here.
in the, what is it? Compartment underneath the back plate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And one thread too many. 22 threads on a Strat.
In the middle? Is it in the middle? Yes.
Yeah, it is in the middle. See? So, okay, now we are very critical. But this is noiseless.
Yeah.
See this? Okay.
Sometimes.
By the way, this is the clean channel with the boost on and the boost on top of that. So, you know, I think that's the Eric Clapton survival kit. He can play any amp. But this is old school. When I met Uli John Roth of the Scorpions with his Sky guitar, not this one, he had the biggest boost ever, I think 90 dBs with a special power supply. And any clean channel will be high gain overdrive with his guitar or will be killed. But this is Uli. And I think the reason for that is he has seen the world and he has seen the cleanest amps. And anyway, but he knows what he's doing. Uli is actually, Uli is unbelievable. We have to make a special episode about Uli. Yeah.
Some guys ask, is it a Todd Krause? No, it's not master build. It's a team build guitar.
Ah, okay. Hey,
But expensive also.
yeah, of course.
You have to wait 1 year.
For this guitar. Okay, I'm putting the stupid. What is the difference between a team build guitar and a master build guitar? It says like John Cruise was the guy, and he did one guitar just by himself. Like
Normally he made one guitar as its own.
so, like
not a team. So
yeah,
and there are
and
some 6 or 7
master
builder,
builder.
yeah. Oh.
So and the team, the master builders are not part of the team. So they have like there's master builders,
Yeah.
which are the gods, and then there's Jesuses underneath, and they make the master builders.
It touched much more longer to get a master build guitar. So, and much more money.
Of course, because business is about money, and but anyway, money is not my biggest point here. But there's some great guitars out there. So noiseless pickups, Fender noiseless, yeah, or is this Kinman, or we don't know.
So the lacquer is I think it's made fine. But
Yeah.
But when you turn it around, you see this is very hard. So
Yeah.
So that's normally they do their best, but.
So if we look at the back of the neck, you can see there is the paint, and then whoop, suddenly it stops, and the transition is kind of, well, it
needs 20 years more to look
authentic, totally authentic. Let's put it that way. It's a nice guitar, everything is kind of right, but we have seen guitars with a slightly better relicking. And if you compare this to a real old guitar, we can do this because the back on this guitar, as we can see, this is naturally old. And then it's not like it stops here because somebody put the sandpaper here and had some fun for a few minutes, and this was it. So here you can see, the pre-owner loved the key of A, maybe played something in C, but it's pretty unused higher than the 12th position. So if I would have played that guitar, there were different spots with no lacquer anymore. So you can tell this guy was a really... There's all that position. Okay, G was also in the... and you can see the first position, and especially... if you are doing some criminal intelligence, you can find out the chords. And actually, it works even better on maple necks. Because on the maple necks, like on this one here, on the Clapton one, they use to take off the lacquer here. And this would be a very defined, I play D7 chord, I play G, and the E chord. And the places where you get the lacquer away is basically where you play the most and where the sweat goes. And then if you do the blues bend on the G string, see, this is one out. It tells you where to play. It's built in Clapton. Yeah, but I like. I have to say, I like the what is it? The grain on the
lacquer is not very
thick. Yeah,
very...
I mean, remember my red Strat from back in the 80s? This was, automotive color, which is great if you have a car, but not on a guitar. And
this is the right way.
This is the right way. Yeah.
See the
No, this is very nice. Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. Hey guys, what is going on? All other 15 guitars, more or less. I give you a few more guitars just for fun. By the way, this is the BluGuitar Strat that is, I think, still having the Elixir strings from Ben Granfeld on it, because he killed so many strings on his 63. Nearly every gig he killed a string, and then he had to use which was my spare guitar. So I brought one spare guitar for the two of us because we both play Strats, and there are 10s all the way through, I think, and Elixir, which I don't like so much, but since Ben breaks so many strings, he put the strings on this one. Okay, do that. Yeah, again, totally different animal because it's a rosewood neck. Let me compare this one to the Autocaster just real quick so you can hear that even it's not the color. They're two guitars with the same pickups and the same hardware. These are my strings and they sound better, Ben. They're actually thinner because I play 9 to 46 and he plays 10 to 46. And or maybe it's the guitar. All I'm trying to say is Strats are all different. I've never played two Strats from the same guy, manufacturer, exactly the same. If you find some, that's the exception from the rule. And they all have their taste, and Strats are so sensitive. Maybe because of the single coils, because they show everything. Okay, I'm mostly playing my Gem GR lately, but 83 Yamaha SE300 still feels a Yamaha SE300. Do you know that? I'm not.
No.
Okay, anyway, I wanted to show you more guitars. There is my Tokai. The Tokai is, I would say, a cheaper, older custom shop from Japan style guitar. Okay, even I get my oar. Free floating. So, yeah, that's in my collection. I prefer the Katzenburst, where is it? Just while comparing guitars, just memorize sounds for you guys, and do you know Jörg Tandler by any ways?
Only not personally.
No, not personally, because I can tell you because he's totally cool with it. Jörg is he learned to make violins, and so he's a proper luthier. So with a real teacher, old school, and the wood needs to be cut this way, and I have no idea. And so he is very knowledgeable, and I know him for maybe 30 years already, and he has always a very strong opinion, and he is very honest. So when you come with the guitar, it's like das Ding kannst vergessen, ne? Which means fuck that shit. So you know that he's super dry. He is very what is the English word? Grinny in a way, but with super dry humor. Nice guy though, but sometimes he uses rough words, but it's always honest. Okay, and I have to make an episode about Jörg. I will visit him. It brings back memories, and his guitars have that quality too. It's kind of, and I mean it. You know, it's like. kind of that no prisoners, you know, it's like bam, here's my fist and you got it, bam. This would be some, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan style attitude, you know, it's like bam. Yeah, very, very direct, very fast, very honest in a way. Oh, we have a few more comments here. What's your opinion on Maybach guitars? Nice guitars, nice looking. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan on their Strat models. It starts with the cosmetics. If my eyes are trained by the vintage spec originals, they are not so exactly where they should be. That hurts my eyes. I'm not talking about the sound, blah, blah, that's a different thing. Their Les Pauls, I really admire how beautiful they are, and they sounds good too.
Yeah.
So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So
You have it in the shop. And,
you have some in the shop, and do you sell more Strats or more Les Pauls?
I don't have the Strats.
So he is the sneaky, which is good. Okay, you pick the right ones.
We have only
you make
Les
the
Pauls.
first selection for your customer. Don't buy shit. Buy only the good stuff. Yeah, good. So let's see if we have other comments here. I love 80s Japan Strats. Yeah, this is what I was talking about when I was a teenager. I had 3 of those. First the Squier Japan vintage, because when Fender produced these shitty guitars back in the 80s, the complete company went bankrupt and they had to re-establish their whole business. They're kind of business people back in the 80s. They were, you know, in the 50s and 60s, Leo was in the company. Then I don't know exactly the details, and he sold it, and then he was a consultant, and then he did Music Man, and then he did his G&L. And then, you know, the guys with CBS, which was a
Only company. Yes.
company. So they were interested in money and not sound quality. So I could see year after year, we lost what the good old days Fender were. And I know all that stuff from my friend Trevor Wilkinson, who met Leo and knows all his Leo stories. And by the way, Trev told me the other day that he's looking to come here to Germany. He will actually drive from the wrong side in the UK to Germany, to the right side of the street, and come here to this studio. Trev Wilkinson. Yeah, and he met basically all the big builders, and he met Leo Fender himself, and he worked with him because he designed the roller nut that Jeff Beck used, and Leo Fender bought it from him, licensed it from him. So anyway, just thought of Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah. What Maybach? Telemann? Yeah, I think the Teles are also cool. Hey, the question is, here, do you have them in the store? Are they better than Fender Custom Shop? What is your opinion? I think Fender Custom Shop Telecaster,
They are quite good.
they are quite good.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They are not cheap, but they are pretty good.
Yes.
Is there anything else in that direction, like old Telecaster? If you have Fender Custom Shop?
We have also the G&L.
Ah.
So they work very good. They sounded very good.
The thing about G&L,
The Fullerton.
Fullerton,
Yeah.
yeah. I was always impressed about G&L, even when they started, and then they always sounded right.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. What is your opinion with humbuckers on a Strat? Well, there is nothing wrong about humbuckers, but in this episode, I wanted to stay with, the classic design where the Strat comes from. And I personally admit that I like the single coils because of, all that sparkle and the sensitivity, and I do the rest with my amp. But on the other hand, if you have a good humbucker in your hand, this is where the fun starts. And on my personal wish list, since I have all the single coil version here now, I will make myself this year maybe a 2 humbucker Strat just for fun. And maybe I have split coils just in case I need to roll back to the single coils. But I heard a few killer players with Strats and humbuckers. One of them is Aaron Bullock, who has passed away 10 years or whatever, quite a while. But I think he even played at your music store, right?
No.
I thought somehow I look at you and I thought Aaron Bullock, or maybe you told me that you like the music.
Yeah, sure. Like him as a
guy, a character.
Yeah.
He was full on.
I see him in the university playing in 10 years ago or 12 years ago.
And he always was killing it.
Yeah.
And he had one
Great
of those Strats with like 2 humbuckers.
Yeah.
I think, no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
On the record cover, I can see that. And that's on my wish list.
There's so many other guitars.
Yeah.
Paoletti, as an example, a new guy from Italy who built crazy guitars. So it's
opinion on the humbuckers is why not? But I wanted to stay in the single coil comparison for tonight. You know, we can do another episode on what you can do with Strats, and then of course there are humbuckers in single coil format where you don't have to change the routing, and then you have the standard PAFs and they don't fit in these scratch plates, so you have to do the evil to the guitar. But the good thing is I can do it on a few of my guitars. So we have more rock and roll Relic versus Fender Custom Shop. Rock and roll Relic, is this Fender too, or is this another? I'm not sure.
Don't know.
You don't know, okay. R.D. is Michael Rüth. I have a rock and roll Relic Strat Blackmore model with a humbucker, and it's so great. Okay, so guys, in the chat you have to ask Mr. R.D. He is having this rock and roll Relic Strat that seems to be like a smaller luthier. I haven't heard of him, but hey, there are great guys out there. So Helmut guitar, I have a 2013 Mystic Red American Series Strat with custom shop pickups. Since it has a maple neck, I do not really use it. You want to sell it, Helmut? Well, then you guys can fix that in the chat. Poo Ninja, okay. Helmut has 3. Anyway, where there are not guitars with 4 single coils, I think
3 are enough.
Yeah, for me 3 are definitely enough. And have you seen those, Les Pauls with the 3 humbuckers? It's like how much more pickups can you put in a guitar? What I have seen is humbucker single coil, and the humbucker was made out of 2 coils. That's actually something on my I want to experiment list as well. Have a real standard humbucker and put another whatever thing be next to it and try to make it sound like a humbucker. And then when I switch it off, the magnetic interference will kill some of the original quality, but might be better for that single tone sound versus something I want to try out. I'm curious. Okay, Helmut, take a chance to the player's Telecaster. Humbucker. So this is an internal chat going on between Helmut and somebody. Anyway, did we play all of them? I think we played all of them. Here's one little thing I want to show you guys. it's the Emerald Prince, which is a name for EP, which is EP is something that you heard from Echoplex, hehe. And this is a preamp that I like because it makes a Strat sound strattier. Just for fun, I plug it in again and use a patch cable. Okay, yeah, I can hold this. And I put this in here and wait a minute, this goes in here and this goes in here. So there's the guitar. A Strats make sound strattier. That is the bright mode. It makes something, whatever it is, and then there's the dark mode. That's one pedal I wanted to show you that I like with Strats. The message here is Strats like pedals. If you need them, it's a different question. It's just since the single coils mainly have a lot of, I would say, headroom, because the sound of a Strat is usually not as full. And since there is a lot of room that can be covered, there could be room for a pedal. So that's my single comment here. But I have another pedal here and another patch cable here. And I show you what this pedal does. It is degree light speed, and we can actually A/B it. And I need another power supply in here. And it doesn't work. Why? Because this thing is not working. Why? You know what? I have another power on. Now it's working. I think the other one was working too, but I didn't plug in the the 1/4-inch plug all the way. So, but there's no sound because I must have done thing wrong. Okay. Now I'm back on the block. Bypass on both pedals. That's bypass. Of course, a killer sound because killer guitar amp, no? That's the pedal. The pedal can be very similar, and that's a good starting point. Now, if I want anything more, there's the EQ, the frequency. I can give it more bite, or I can make it like a little bit warmer if you have a super bright Strat, and then you can have a little drive with it. So when I switch to bypass, you find out what you are missing. That's this pedal. Another example of why Strats kind of like pedals. And the classic here is the good old Tube Screamer. The main reason for this pedal is because Strat, single coil, no much mids compared to Les Paul, plugged into a Fender amp, not so many mids either. This thing brings the mid hump and kind of balances out the Fender dip. And then that makes sense. With a little level, you can kind of boost your Fender into overdrive, and then you think you are Stevie Ray Vaughan, but you are not. You know, that's life. We all are not Stevie Ray Vaughan because we missed out on playing so many hours guitars, and fuck. So, one. Got it. Yeah. So. So that's a good guitar tone because guitar bypass amp. So we want less overdrive, more volume. You get used to that mid hump. I'm not personally the biggest fan, but the more authentic your Fender amp is, that helps. But hey, I was still on the wrong cabinet. Let me dial in a Fender cabinet with that. Yeah, so to me, that's that typical blues recipe. Anyway, hey, we have what's going on here? Some guitars in the 60s and 70s with 4 pickups. Taisco. I think Taisco Japanese, they want to make better. This is one louder. Remember Spinal Tap? This one goes to 11. It's one louder. And maybe the Japanese wanted to make it 1 pickup more. Yeah. It works well with a single. Somebody has a EQ. That's also an option. Nothing you need, but is something you can experiment with. I mean, you can experiment with any guitar, but especially on the single coils, I think a lot of sounds make sense. I mean, bow, 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 Pink Floyd, phaser, single coil guitar, Stratocaster. That's a typical, yeah. Japanese Spinal Tap, yeah. Here, somebody asked me, have you ever tried the gold-plated strings from Optima? Optima is a German
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, still made strings, and you can buy it. It's gold strings. Zappa plays it. I think so.
And I think Brian May.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah. Yeah.
Optima. Wasn't this from a company? Wait a minute, another German
Pyramid.
Pyramid. Is Optima and Pyramid two companies, or is Optima a brand of Pyramid? I'm not sure.
Me too.
So this goes back to the same corner. So I'm not sure. Maybe Optima is part of Pyramid, but I don't know. But trust me, strings do have a slightly different tone. Some people argue strings don't matter. I'm happy for them because they can buy the cheapest one and they're happy. Me personally, my opinion is I do hear the difference in strings and I do feel the difference. I sometimes say D'Addario are super strings, but they are too good for me. I grew up on Picato because Ritchie Blackmore used them, Fender, and I used to break them all the time. And then I ended up with my Ernie balls because Peter Weihe told me, Junge, spiel die. Hey boy, you play these, they're good for you. And now I still stick on the sound of those strings and the feel. So, but what is your experience on strings?
Yeah, Ernie Ball and the D'Addario are nearly
Top level.
Yeah. And I sell a lot of Elixir strings. So
Elixir, yeah. Elixir, they last longer because of that coating.
Yeah, coating.
And now I think even other companies,
D'Addario makes it
Nano Web or whatever, super thin. Yeah. Somebody bought a Deco at 604. Yeah, so at his shop. Yeah. Do I have experience, or do you have experience with Fender Strats?
When I started 36 years ago,
Yeah.
the first 6 guitars I bought was Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Fernandez, a bass and 5 guitars.
Yeah. And
But it ended then
quite fast after this.
Yeah.
And
At
were
that
they
time,
good?
They were really good. But
okay.
it's 36 years ago.
Roman K says Optima, Brian May are good. I use them often on my Red Special, of course, because that's authentic. And they don't rust quickly with my finger sweats. Yeah, that's a problem. Some people have very aggressive sweat. And like Ben, for instance, he can kill strings with hard picking, but I'm picking hard as well. I don't know what he's doing. But he is also sweating in a way.
The coating strings helps a lot.
Yeah, so this is why he changed to that as well. To round it up today, I found something nice here in our magazine, Guitar and Bass, a German magazine for, of course, guitar players. And one thing is there's a huge Jeff Beck story. And as we can see, there's Jeff Beck. And on the second page, there's George Hoffman. And remember, George couldn't come here because he had to go to the funeral of Jeff Beck. But George will be in the Academy of Tone here. And he is the promoter of all the guitar bands. We're talking Jeff Beck, ZZ Top, Joe Satriani, all the guitar heroes anyhow. And then all the blues guys, Bonamassa, and he books them all. He knows them all. He has stories like being totally drunk with Gary Moore, and he has the original overdrive pedal from Still Got the Blues, the one that has been used on the record. And he knows all the details from Mark Knopfler
Okay.
and what is myth, what's wrong. Georgie is coming here. I don't know exactly when, but we already have make plans of the gear that he will bring. And he's, of course, here with Jeff in the interview. By the way, the thing is done by Udo Pipper, who was also a guest here in one episode. The next the next topic here was, tons of pages about Jeff Beck, even more Jeff Beck, of course. I have to read it. It's the new magazine. Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Okay, I have to read that as well. The Blues Guy. And then, wait a minute, is this the episode? Wait a minute, I thought I've seen this. The Jeff Beck. Too much. And then our dear friend Jude Gold. No? The other day he was on the Academy of Tone, and the guy from Jefferson Starship, and he is using Amp 1. Where's the camera? Here's the camera. See, so which is great. Yeah, they were opening up for Deep Purple, and that was the day when I was on stage with Deep Purple, but not with all of them, just before the show. And I did my little surprise with Don Airy. He didn't know that I was coming, and then he was doing his sound check on his synthesizer, and then he turns around and said, "Hey Thomas, what are you doing here?" And, I was like, "I'm not a new guitar player. They have a new one." But he had we had a great time and a great hang with Jude, the Jefferson Starship in the dressing room with the Deep Purple guys, and Jude. So this world is small, and this is it's good that we all are connected. Yeah. I think we talked a lot for. Sorry, this is a home run now. Marshall Governor was the pedal that I was missing, correct. And then, what is your favorite amp for a Strat? To be honest, my collection, or better, the Amp 1 Mercury Edition. Because listen to the intro song. This is all the sounds that I like with a Strat, and I play Strat, as you know, for my entire life. And my favorite amp sounds are in this amp. Every channel is a winner with a Strat, period. Sometimes I got blamed for that because this sounds only good with a Strat. It's all these cliche kind of things. And then when I play the Les Paul a few more times, and then they said, "Oh yeah, it sounds good with the Les Paul too." But since you didn't hear me with a Les Paul back in the days when I released it, everybody said, "It's only good for Strats." Yeah. Anyway, so hey, thanks to Heiko Bellon from 6 and 4 for joining in. We have already plans for the future, which is also great because, more people, more options, more stories. And see you guys all next week with, I know who's coming, Justin Hombach. And we have something weird. We have a guy with a camper coming here. Who finally also got an Amp 1 Iridium, and we will find out what is great about the camper, because I'm curious, and what is great about the Iridium for him. And he's coming like in a duo with Fabian Ratzak, who has been here already twice. And these two guys have a podcast that they do together. I don't know, Guitar Geek or Guitar Special. So next week we will be 3 in this space, and it will be about what are our influences. We will play a lot because Fabian is a killer guitar player. They're both great guitar. Justin is probably more the high-speed shred guy. Fabian is like myself with a broader spectrum, and Fabian is very knowledgeable. I mean, he has a favor for Yngwie Malmsteen, Jeff Beck, and a lot of players. And he's, yeah. So we are three guitar players with three different backgrounds, and we will find out what made us do the things we do. And then I'm of course interested in gear, and I'm especially interested in the Kemper. I know the Kemper, but I want to know why a guy that played Kemper only for 10 years now enjoys an Amp 1 as well. Why not? Okay, thanks guys. See you all next week, same time, same place. Thanks Heiko. Cheers, cheers. Bye-bye.